February 11th, 2020. 2019 was a very busy year for the Capital Investment Committee. We're glad to be back. And thank you for being here on a timely basis. After we conclude our meeting, I ask anyone that wants to stay, they may stay because I have a few presentations to make as a result of our meetings with the hometown people in their hometowns. As I said probably a couple of times before, when I was called to consider being chair of the Capital Investment Committee, it was a Saturday night. Right after or sometime in late November after the elections, and speaker called on about 8 o'clock on Saturday night, and she said, will you consider being chair of the Capital Investment Committee? And at that time, I thought, holy cow. I said, are we going to have money? Lots of money? And she couldn't promise anything at that time. And I talked about the number of committee meetings and so forth that asked mostly questions, and she didn't have very many answers. And then she gave me till 8 o'clock the next morning to call her back. And so I did, but in those 12 hours in between, I never gave a thought to bonding tours. You know, sometimes you kind of blank things out of your past life, and it doesn't sit in the front of your brain because it wasn't a great experience in the past. And so I forgot. But then came our caucuses where we met and our retreats and so forth. And I met various people that said, I'm going to sign up I signed up for your committee because I love those bonding tours. And I thought, oh my gosh. But I too love the bonding tours. And I thank every one of you that were able to come, even if it was only in your own district for your own project. I appreciate that because that shows sincerity and that you know the hometown people too. And that's really, really important. And I'm sorry that every single person that's sitting in the audience didn't get to come on all the tours. But your faces are remembered at the tour stops that we were at. And I know that committee members have jobs in real life. And it's not easy to be a part-time legislator when you're a real-life teacher, or you're a real-life gas station owner, or you're a real-life car salesman, or whatever you may be. And so we have to balance. But on every single tour that we had, 17 days of touring in the fall, September, October, November, days of touring. We got on the bus at 7:15, ready to go. And we never got off the bus but one time before 8:45 when we could walk into our hotel room. And on every one of those tours and on every one of those, we had over 50% of the committee members in attendance. And so that's really pretty great. And so we know these projects, and we're ready to have last-minute instructions about how my project's changed because. But we're ready to format a bill and to hear the governor's recommendations. But keeping in mind that the people of Minnesota have spoken to all of us and talked to us about their needs. We went northwest, southwest, southeast, northeast, metro, central. We went all over the place for almost 3,500 miles. We saw dumps. We saw white wastewater. We saw flooded grasslands. We saw the Jefferson hieroglyphs, which was the very best. We saw them because when I did accept that position, I told Jenny Nash, whether they've got a request in or not, we're going to stop at the Historical Society's prairie hieroglyphs. I'm going to see those because on the bonding tours I do remember, we just drove by, never ever stopped. And I always thought, I want to see those. And as it turned out, it was indeed the very best thing we did. Maybe because they weren't asking for any money. They had already gotten it. But Representative Lilly's, contemplating his new hobby, archery, because of that stop. or sword fighting or something. So we're ready to go on that. We saw total of 236 presentations. And that were people that came on the bus and talked. We didn't just nap or eat. We listened. We learned. And so we're thankful to the people who made accommodations in their real life to tell their story. But there are more stories to come. But first of all, we're going to hear today's agenda, which is Commissioner France, Ms. Connor, who's going to tell us what the governor's recommendations are and why governor's recommending those things. And we'll put our priorities or our thoughts aside and listen up to those projects and see how they're cupped into buckets of different kinds of funding, different approach than we might have heard before.